Unsolicited advice.
All right, that's better. Hi, everybody. It's episode 7 of Unsolicited Advice, and today I have my buddy Andrew sitting in to talk with us. Say hi, Andrew.
Hello.
How you doing today?
I'm good. Happy to be here. First time on a podcast. It's pretty exciting stuff.
Hell yeah, man. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, to start off, I was thinking we could start about like an intro. So you're a photographer.
Mm-hmm.
You've lived in Columbus for
3 years, a little over 3 years now.
and originally from Cleveland,
Cleveland.
just like me.
Cleveland boys.
And the funny thing is we used to run, unbeknownst to each other, we used to run in like similar circles for a while,
Mm-hmm.
hanging out with the Never Rich crew,
Mm-hmm.
and Trap Money Benny and Ben West
Mm-hmm.
and all those people.
Those people, yeah.
Yeah, so that was fun.
They're doing good stuff. I'm happy to, see where they've come and
Yeah.
where they started, and just like us, just trying to make shit happen, you know?
Yeah, just young kids trying to make shit
Can
happen.
I swear on here?
Yeah, you can
sometimes I
shit.
swear. Okay.
Just shit.
Fuck. Shit. Okay.
um,
Just had to make sure, you know?
yeah, you don't know. It goes on LinkedIn, but I think LinkedIn is cool with swearing now, thanks to
Yeah.
Gary Vee.
I think it's about
Authentic.
Yeah, it's about authenticity.
Right.
That's what he said. I read or I heard an interview with him about how he swears so much and swears in front of his kids and how he doesn't give a fuck about it because it's who he is and how it's authentic, and
Yeah, it's what you got to do.
I was like, hell yeah.
So how long have you been photographer?
I got my first camera when I was a senior in college, so about 6 years now. 7 years? 7 years, yeah.
That's a long time. That's
7
pretty good.
years,
And you
yeah.
just turned 30.
Just turned 30, yeah.
That's awesome.
30 club.
30 club. And so 7 years ago, you'd have been 23 years old.
Yep.
And you used to work, before you were shooting, what were you doing? Working with ads? Ad campaigns?
Yeah. So when I was in college, I took like an advertising class, and I thought it was really fun. I was able to be creative, and I came up with some campaigns. And what got me into photography is I had to create content for the campaigns I created for the class.
Yeah.
And then I borrowed my roommate at the time's camera and really enjoyed doing it. And then after a few times, he was like, "Hey man, like, can't keep borrowing my camera all the time." So I went out and actually I got one for my birthday. Thank you, Grandma, for buying me my first camera. It was a Canon T3i. The whole kit cost like $395. Probably the shittiest little 18 to 35 millimeter lens. But
Made it work.
I made it work. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
When did you get, so you got a camera, you're 23 years old, you get a camera. When did you upgrade to a new camera? How long did it take you to like feel that you were comfortable enough?
Sure. My first upgrade came actually when I first moved to Columbus. So I had my T3i for 4 years, and then I bought new lenses for it throughout the time. Throughout that 4 years, that made my shooting a little bit better, made the images a little bit better. But I didn't get a new camera until I moved here and bought my friend Brett's Canon 60D from him.
Bad upgrade.
That was a nice upgrade, yeah. My lenses, all my old lenses still worked on it because they have the similar lens connection.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Is that the technical? It's got to be the technical
I can't remember.
term.
I don't know the exact word,
Yeah.
but
The components,
yeah.
Canon,
Yeah.
works
Canon.
together. That's
Well,
great.
not really. So there's two different kinds of Canons. There's a Canon that comes with, so it's based off of your sensor. So like the first Canon I had an APS-C lens, which is like a crop sensor. So there's certain lenses that work with those cameras, and then certain lenses that when you upgrade to a CMOS full frame sensor, some of the lenses don't. The adapters don't work. Yeah, they don't connect.
That's cool. So then you moved here. Why'd you move to Columbus?
So after college, I worked in Cleveland for a year at an advertising agency called Wise Advertising. Great job. I had my first job out of college. I had my own office, and it was sweet. I had my own door. It was like, but to be fair, every single person in the company had their own office, so it wasn't like I was like special.
That's a nice company though. At least
It
you're
was
not in a
awesome.
cubicle.
Yeah, I wasn't in a cube. But, after a year of being there, I was just like, I was in a weird place. I lived in Cleveland. I went to college in Cleveland. I grew up in the Cleveland area. I was just ready for
Yeah, that's
something
why I
different.
moved too.
Yeah.
I was like, I just need to
Yeah.
get
So I actually from Cleveland, I moved out to Denver.
okay.
Moved in with my friend Josh, and it was a great learning experience for me because I learned that you need to like plan and be strategic with what you're doing. Because I just moved out there, no job, barely any savings. I think I had saved like $6,000 my first year of working.
Right.
You know, which is it doesn't last very long when you're in Denver and you
No.
don't have a job. You know,
No,
it's
it
very
doesn't.
expensive. So yeah, after about a half a year out there, I was broke. I didn't know anybody. I knew only one person, my roommate Josh, and he traveled about 75% of the time for work. So I found myself like by myself, bored. And you know me, I'm not a huge extrovert. I kind of keep to myself, so it was really hard to make friends, and I was very bored and lonely, and it was a weird time. And
Yeah.
I knew I couldn't stay there, but I wasn't ready to go back home.
Right.
And I'd been talking to my friend Mike here in Columbus, and he said, "Yeah, you know, we have an extra bedroom open if you want to move in with us." It was him and his friend Phil at the time. So I said, "Hell yeah, let's do it." And I moved into the house, and my room was like I had barely enough room for I have a queen size bed, and it like that and my dresser are the only two things that fit in there.
Right.
No room to walk, but I made it work. You know, it was cheap and
Yeah, Columbus
Yeah.
is a lot cheaper than Denver.
yeah.
Yeah, astronomically.
Oh yeah.
That's right. And what year was that? Just to
I moved here in 2000.
shoot, that's all right. I got
14,
Spillage.
I think.
2014.
No, 2015. I moved here. It was 3 days before my birthday, November 11th. I remember moving in.
I like that you moved right before your birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Probably felt good. New
Yeah,
grounds.
it was nice. It's kind of funny that when I moved in on a Sunday, and that next day, my friend Mike, my current roommate, who I had known since 7th grade, he took a trip and left for a week. And I moved in, and he had another roommate who was his friend Phil, and I had never met this guy before. So like that was an interesting experience moving into with someone you've never met, and then
Yeah, talk a little closer,
a
buddy.
little closer. Okay.
A little closer.
So yeah, I moved in, and then that first week, I got to know Phil pretty quick, and that was cool. It was cool.
That's badass. When you were, I think the sound is getting better. I don't know why the last time I did this, I had one microphone,
Yeah.
so it was just plug and play. What
Sure.
it got is what it got. But yeah. So you move in, you quit the ad thing,
Mm-hmm.
you start doing freelance, and you're a very strategic person. You brought up strategy earlier, and this is one of the
Mhm.
reasons I like talking to you, is because you like having a game plan now, because you've gone to a
Mhm.
place without one, and you
Mm-hmm.
realize that how much of a disadvantage it puts you at.
Oh, for sure.
So now you really like to kind of think out moves,
Mhm.
think moves ahead, and
Yeah.
strategize. What are some of the things you strategize? Like, so right now you run content for Hypoke,
Mm-hmm.
and you do your own photography,
Mm-hmm.
and that's mostly for fun. That's for you.
I try to. Yeah. I
Yeah.
try to do a lot of it for fun, but you know, I still got to pay the bills, so
Right.
I do some stuff that isn't as fun.
And then you run some other clients as well,
Mm-hmm.
like one, for example, other than Hypoke. Shout out to Hypoke.
Well, currently right now I'm in a kind of like a strange time where I don't have a lot of recurring business, so I'm
Right.
kind of just doing the freelance model right now. But I was working with a couple companies up in Cleveland. I was working with a mental health facility.
Right.
That was really interesting. So, you know, what I like about being a freelancer and being in the line of work that I'm in with marketing and, you know, being creative and advertising is you get to become an expert in a lot of different things. So I learned a lot about like mental health and how to, you know, promote that and like what that looks like and like the realness of how common it actually is. So that was pretty interesting. But unfortunately, they have decided to go in another direction with more like community-based partnerships and putting their marketing budget that they were paying me into other things, which I totally understand.
Right. Keeping it local.
Yeah, and I
to a degree.
essentially so I manage their social media and I help do some event stuff for them and promotion. But I trained essentially the person that took over my role is they hired like a community outreach director.
Nice.
So she's essentially going to be taking over that, and
I love that.
totally understand.
And it's cool that you get to do. It's like what you said with the freelance is that like every day can be different, and you can work with somebody. It's like a project based instead of like a gig economy, which I feel like terminology is important because with the gig economy, it's like, okay, I do trivia. That's a gig.
Sure.
I show up, I do it, I leave.
Mm-hmm.
But with like project based work, you get to like make a portfolio of it. It's like, this is what I did for them.
Mm-hmm.
This was X, Y, and Z of what they got out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And now, 1 month it's mental health. The next month it's sushi bowls. And then the next month it's whoever
Open to
next.
anything.
Yeah, it's open next.
Yeah.
Freelance.
Whatever anybody needs, let me know.
You know the etymology of the word freelance?
I do not.
So knights that no longer, like their king died, something happened, whoever was in charge of them, they became freelances, lances for hire.
Okay.
Pretty badass.
Interesting. That's cool.
Yeah.
I thought Lance like Sir Lancelot, like
Similar, yeah.
with like a sword.
Yeah, like mercenaries.
Yeah.
Merce. How's that time lapse look?
Well, let's check it out.
What are some of the things you're looking forward to in 2019?
So this year, especially this month, I've kind of been working on my own personal brand, which I'm really excited about. I'm going to be rolling out a blog. I've
Written?
a written blog, yeah.
Oh, cool.
So it's coming from like an interesting place. Like I've done a lot of research and I haven't found anybody talking about how, because there's a lot of different kind of freelancers. There's like people that they claim that they're a freelancer, but really, they have 2 clients that pay all their bills, and they know, like I don't really consider that to be a true freelancer.
No.
Because it's essentially you have a job.
Is there a term for that? A contract worker, maybe?
I guess. I'm not sure. I think so.
Contract, yeah.
Yeah, contractor. But
Retainer.
yeah, so like, and like I'm all about that. I think that's the key, is to like find like a few good businesses that are going to pay you the same amount every month, because the hardest part of the gig economy is it's feast or famine.
Yeah.
Like right now, it's famine for me because it's the slow time of the year. Like the dead time between holidays, like people are out of the office on vacation.
Right.
But catch people like us in the summer, I don't even have time to like talk to my friends because I'm so busy. Like
Right.
everyone wants content, everyone wants photo, video.
Everybody's
event
excited.
marketing. They're excited.
Everybody's excited to Instagram.
Yeah.
And then in the winter, everything's, it's been hard to get it's hard to get a text back or an email back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's out of office and they're thinking about little Billy opening his Christmas gifts and then being home on vacation and so.
Yeah. But for you, your calendar, you start open.
I'm open. Yeah.
Sometimes it fills up. Sometimes it's
But the key is to like take your downtime and be productive with it.
right.
Like,
Strategize. Over
yeah,
the month of
I know a
December.
lot of people that like a lot of my freelance friends that are bored and they're not doing anything, and take that time to build your own personal brand.
Right.
Like that's what I've been doing. I've been writing and
getting ready to launch this blog.
Yeah.
So I'm interrupted you. So you don't have people really talking about the life of a freelancer. What's the blog going to be about?
So the blog it's going to be a little bit more of a niche. So for me, like I mentioned earlier, I would consider myself to be an introvert.
Yeah.
So I've done some research and I haven't found anything that talks about how like creative introverts, like the struggles that they go through and like to build a business. Because for me, like I struggle a lot with like, do I want to go to this networking? Do I want to go to this networking event and talk to people and build business and like gain new clients? Like most of the time, it's no, I do not want to do that because I don't really
want to go
I'm
out.
not outgoing.
Right.
Like I just kind of stand there awkwardly. And
that was actually one of the first conversations me and you ever had. Was we both went to our buddy Niles' networking event that he hosted, which was really great.
Mm-hmm.
It was at Collaborate and Elevate, and you picked me out, and you're like, "Will you like we partner up for one of the exercises?" And you're like, "Yeah, I'm not really good at these, so just bear with me."
Mm-hmm.
And we took it from there. It was great.
Yeah, I like to focus on like personal connection, like having a one-on-one conversation. Like next time, whoever's listening, next time you're out in a big crowd, just listen to the conversation people are having, and it's not worth most of the time it's not even worth contributing to. One, no one's going to remember talking about it, and two, it's just people yelling over each other.
Right.
I get a lot of people say to me like, oh, like, I get uncomfortable because you don't contribute to the conversation, or you're just like sitting there quiet. And I don't mean to be. I'm not trying to I'm not upset. I'm not having a bad time. I'm not going to yell over
Right.
everybody else.
To have a point that
To
might
have
be
a-
to
yeah.
be forgotten.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know.
I think I'm the same way. I think I'd rather have 10 dimes than 100 pennies in relationships. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
absolutely.
Yeah, more valued.
But yeah, we kind of got off track a little bit there. So
Sorry.
the blog that I'm going to write about it's going to be positioned as like the creative introvert's guide to.
Okay.
And essentially it's going to be about how to build your business, like how to find the right clients, how to pick the right events to go to, who to work with, all these different things that like new freelancers or creatives or anybody really can, who doesn't have a voice for
Right.
themselves. And, I'm trying to represent like a huge group of people that
Don't have a voice.
that don't know necessarily, like, I've met a lot of people who get discouraged from starting their own thing because they're like me and they're not an extrovert. Like, a lot of times, like, to build your own brand, you have to be out there. You have to be in everyone's face all the time. You have to be the
front
top.
front of the camera.
Yeah, in front of the camera. You have to be shaking hands, dropping your business card off. Well, for a lot of people,
It's hard to
it's
promote
it's
yourself.
really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do that, like, that on your own. Like, that's why a lot of people just get office jobs, because it's easy and it's simple, because they don't have maybe they don't have the social skills to build the business that they
all
want to
those
run.
connections, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up, because a lot of as I get more and more involved in and get to meet more creatives that I've gotten the opportunity to do over the past year, for the most part, a lot of introvert behavior. You guys kind of use the camera as like a reason to be there. And if you're behind, like if you're always the guy taking the picture, you're never in the picture.
Exactly.
Right, you're always kind of behind the scenes.
Sure.
Right.
Well, for me, it's not that I don't like having my picture taken. Like, I get my picture taken all the time. I
Yeah.
don't mind it. I'm friends with photographers. Like, all
Right.
my friends are photographers, so
Yeah.
I always have cameras in my face. But for me, like, having my camera at an event, it's like a shield. It's like a barrier. It's like, bartenders say, like, I never cross the bar.
Right.
It's the same thing. Like, if you have your camera, if you're feeling uncomfortable in a situation, like, you don't want to, like, talk, you just say, hey, I got to go.
I gotta
grab
go
a
shoot.
shot. I got to go get a shot.
Right.
It's a good
Excuse.
excuse, but at the same time, like, there's days I'm feeling super social and want to chat with everybody and, like, hey, let me take your picture. It's just depends on the day, I guess.
Yeah, for everybody.
Yeah.
Lately with this, I've been like my frontal lobe capacity. I just am like, I'm talking a lot, like all day, and it's
Yeah.
getting a little hard. It's
Yeah.
getting tiring.
He's a talker.
Yeah, I'm a talker and and having a hard time talking. That's cool. I like that. When's that gonna launch? Do you have an idea?
I'm just finishing up my website now. I wanted to have it done by the first of the year, but
Is the
how it
website
goes.
just for the blog?
No. So I'm gonna be rebranding my personal business. I was running a company called Rule One, spelled ROOL and the number 1. But I want to make it more inclusive of, like, the brand that people know me as. Like, people, like, I know a
Great
lot of
White.
people. Yeah, Great White. They, that's the nickname I've had since I was a kid, and it's just something that I've kind of built and
Kept around.
worked with. And I
Yeah.
just had my friend Ann design a new logo for me, and Great White Creative is going to be launching. So I
It's
just want to
exciting.
wrap it all together.
Right.
But
And having a blog to post out is great content to
Mhm.
also draw people. It's a very it's an awesome
exactly.
idea.
Like, I read a lot of books about content strategy, and it's just put shit out there
Yeah.
and see what sticks.
Speaking of content strategy, did you see that Bird Box? Netflix released numbers for like one of
Mhm.
the first times ever, and they released at like 45 million
Yeah, I saw
of their
that.
users
45 million people on the
in 7 days.
in 7 days.
Watch that Sandra Bullock movie.
Yeah, I have been enjoying the memes too. I watched it. I thought it kind of looked corny from, like, the previews,
Yeah,
but then I kept seeing all these memes on the internet, and I was like, shit, I need to know what the hell these mean.
dude, I think
So I
that
watched the
meme. I think
movie.
memes and like the holiday release and drove that whole movie.
Oh, they were so smart. They released it, I think, the day after Christmas.
Right.
They know everyone's gonna be off work.
You got
for
a
the
week.
next
You got a week to watch a
Yeah.
movie, and then you just
Yeah.
make sure. I mean, who even knows who made the first meme? What if they made the
Mhm.
first meme?
I bet they did,
That's crazy.
for sure.
Did you see they also have a YouTube account now, Netflix?
No, I didn't.
So they've had one for. I went back and did the research on it. They've had it for since 2012.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 9 years,
Yeah.
which is crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
But there's clips of comedy shows. There's clips of their movies. There's trailers of their movies,
Sure.
all on YouTube.
They probably have accounts everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. Just you have to have. You got to be everywhere.
You have to be
You got to
everywhere.
catch your audience everywhere, anywhere they are.
Yeah, you really do. Like the Wendy's thing. One of the best things Andrew ever showed me was Wendy's has a full album out from the rapper Wendy,
Mm-hmm.
and it's diss tracks. It's all diss tracks on different fast foods.
It's so
Like,
good.
It's so good. It's amazing. And like they talk shit on McDonald's for their ice cream machine always being broken. They talk about how their patties are better, their juicy double. It's fantastic.
Yeah, anybody who wants to know what good content marketing looks like, just check out Wendy's.
Yeah, their
They're the
Twitter's
best.
insane.
They just did a thing. Did you see the thing they did last week? They did
Mm-mm.
like they put out a tweet that said like we're sending smoke to everybody who wants it, and people were like tweeting at them, and they would just give them smoke right away. And
Just
some of the
hit 'em
tweets
back
were
with-
so funny.
That's awesome.
Like, I don't know who is running Wendy's Twitter account, but shout out to them. I'm assuming it's probably some interns at Ohio State. I know Wendy's is headquartered here in Columbus.
That would make sense.
I'm
Damn, it might
assuming
be
it's
at
probably
Ohio
some
State.
kids, like with their finger on the pulse. So whoever it is, shout out to Wendy's social media team.
I wonder how
they're
hard it'd be
killing
for me to find that out. Who actually runs that social media?
Probably not that hard.
I could go on LinkedIn.
Yeah, you could
It's
probably
'cause
figure it out.
Some companies keep their LinkedIn, because I've been trying to cold call people for certain things lately, and you can like go to so and so's business, but they'll keep head people like
Oh,
off
sure.
their LinkedIn.
Of course,
Right.
you gotta have some secrecy.
You got to be connected to somebody to know them too, which is
Mhm.
always a challenge. It's all about who you know. So with all this content, this is one of the reasons I want to talk to you is about content. Is like Facebook. I think their budget this year is like $8 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Then Netflix has $100 billion, and then Amazon, Snapchat, Apple just released their budget. I think it's like $15 billion, and then YouTube. All these companies, these 5 companies that I just
Mhm.
listed, all have massive, massive budgets to generate their own original content.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube's kind of like a cool realm because like Casey Neistat, Logan Paul, those people, they can put their content on there and
Mhm.
it generates like, for example, Good Mythical Morning. They put out a variety show Monday through Friday, every day. It's about 45 minutes worth of content,
Mhm.
and they get about 1.5 million views every episode
Each day.
each day.
Okay, that's a
That's
lot of eyeballs.
insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. And then some, of course, have more than that, but they
Mhm.
average, from what I've watched, they've averaged about like 1.5 million to 2 million a day.
That's crazy.
But then YouTube itself is spending money on content.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I guess the question I have for you is like, where do you see like Spotify singles?
Mm-hmm.
They just started. They're producing their own songs.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, the Mac Miller ones that they just dropped, that after he passed away, that they
Yeah,
were
the
going to drop.
studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually listening to that this morning. That's funny.
Which one, Dono or?
Both.
I
There's
love
only
both.
2
I
songs.
play them all
yeah.
the time.
I was
think they're
cooking
both great.
cooking eggs this morning and just
Yeah.
let it go.
Yeah, it has like almost looks like a Disney cover on the white with the
Mhm.
blue. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think people are going to try to catch eyes, or is it going to be like Amazon had that show with Jeffrey Tambor about him being like a transgender person, and then they have the Marvelous Miss Maisel, and then they have Jack Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
But like you kind of almost need like a Breaking Bad, a Game of Thrones now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, HBO, they make their own amazing content too.
Yep.
All their shows almost always hit.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is going to be like the moves you start seeing from different companies to try to catch eyes?
Well, I think what I've already seen happening and what I think is going to continue to happen is these companies are really smart, and they know like it's not about creating their own content necessarily. It's about finding the people that are already creating content and then paying them to create it for their platform.
Right.
I know Facebook they acquired a little web series called The Real Bros of Simi Valley. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't.
So the first season have you seen the show? It's a Netflix show. The first season, it's like a documentary. It's like a mockumentary about who drew the dicks.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
So the main character,
And then the next one they did was the poop one.
the poop, yeah.
Yeah.
With both really, really great shows. I thought.
Hilarious.
What were they called? Do you remember the name of that series?
No, I don't. I'm gonna Google it.
Um.
Or you riff.
So anyways, The Real Bros of Simi Valley. It's starring the dude that was the main character in season 1. I don't know his name as an actor, but him and a few of his like buddies, they produced, directed, and shot this show.
American Vandal.
Yes, American Vandal. So the main character of that show, him and a few of his friends, they shot this like, I think it was a 5-part web series called The Real Bros of Simi Valley.
Yeah.
And it was funny as hell. It's like, it's making fun, like, these kids they're self-aware. They're like Southern California kids, but they know like that's funny, like with the shit that they talk about and they do. So they made like a kind of like a satire. Not like a satire. There's like another word.
What were they making? And then I can give you the word.
I
No,
guess
they're like
satire is
Yeah.
is a fine word. So they put this whole show together, and it was a low budget. They shot it. I think they shot on like a Canon 5D.
Right. Real simple.
One kid had the camera. They wrote it and shot it, edited it, and then put it out on YouTube. Well, I think it ended up getting like hundreds of millions of views between like the 5 episodes, and Facebook acquired them and then is producing the second season. And just seeing the first episode of the second season, it's like a Facebook exclusive. It's hosted on Facebook. It's not on YouTube.
Right.
Like the production quality is like 10 times better. Like you can just tell.
They
like
gave all
Facebook
they
put
gave the
some money
kids all the
into it.
tools. Yeah.
Yeah, they probably gave them like a full crew. They paid for like the set. They paid for everything.
Which, granted, might be like more than a 1-camera shot.
Mm-hmm.
The budget of like nothing.
Yeah.
But versus they probably maybe even only put $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in,
Mm-hmm.
and the turnaround for that is going to be
It's huge. Like they marketed it super great too. Like they did a really good job like promoting it on Facebook. And the first episode was just as funny because they didn't come in and say, all right, well, we really like your show, but we're gonna have our directors come in.
No.
We're gonna have our team of writers come in. They said, here's some money, make it better.
Yeah.
And like the same people. So like that's what I think moving forward the content strategy for these big companies is going to be, is to acquire people who are already doing really great stuff and help them make it better.
I love that.
And like that's the goal for people who are out here, like these YouTubers and people that are trying to do shit on their own and create something cool. They want to get picked up. They want to like
get a little bit of a budget. Not a
Yeah.
crazy budget. You don't
Yeah.
really need $1 billion anymore to make a
No.
movie.
like I shoot like with a Canon 6D, and I could put together content just as solid as anyone else is producing, and for no additional budget.
For no budget.
And like that's what's so great about the content these days is like these kids, they're creating shit with their iPhones.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Like they're if you look at Instagram, like some of these people that have 20 million Instagram followers, they take all their pictures on their phone. So it's like these days it's not about having the best equipment. It's just making
what you
the
do
best
with that
stuff.
equipment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because as the barrier to entry has gotten a lot smaller, right?
Mhm.
So a point and shoot camera now is DSLR. It
Mhm.
costs you $250,
Oh
and
yeah.
you're shooting at quality that the next range up is in the thousands.
Mhm.
So if everybody's playing, and even then it's like 4K.
Yeah.
If you wanted to get into like special effects and things, that's a whole nother lane.
Mhm.
But like Casey Neistat says, the best camera he has for vlogging is his Galaxy,
Mhm.
and he uses it all the time for
Mhm.
most of his time lapse footage.
Yep.
For most of these amazing shots in New York Cities that he's doing, he's just taking them on his phone.
Mhm.
So another thing is that and I listen to a lot of Gary Vee. I don't listen to Gary Vee so much as for like the motivational stuff anymore. I listen to more of it to see like what he's doing and some of the tips he has content wise, because
Mhm.
I think a lot of them go overlooked. So what he does now is when he's shooting for Budweiser, he brings like some stupid props like a soccer ball and maybe like sunglasses and maybe like different stuff. He has like his
Mhm.
team of people bring a bunch of stuff. So that way, while they're shooting the main commercial and there's all that downtime on set, he
Mhm.
has them playing with the product and the soccer ball. So kick the soccer ball at the Budweiser bottle. Do little things, create a bunch of B-roll,
Mhm.
and then you just have that to like be pumping out. If everybody always has a camera, then I guess the idea to be a productive shot. Like
Mhm.
right now at Presco, we just got a new kid to do more in-house stuff. So on Sunday we have a shoot, and he's going to be shooting all B-roll all behind the scenes stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the now that like content creators are being put in front of the camera kind of, and that stories become interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now you need photographers to
You got to shoot the shooter.
You got to shoot the shooter.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which is just like kind of like a meta idea, but it's a lot of fucking camera work. It's a lot of pictures.
There's a lot, like
everything has to be documented.
Document everything. Like that's like what I was before we started recording this conversation. I was telling Jacob about how I've been trying to be more active with my phone. You know, I've been shooting time lapses on my phone. It's just like little things like, you know, to touch on what you said about the barrier of entry being lower now is my iPhone 8 Plus has a better camera than the first camera that I started with, the Canon T3i. The iPhone, like people don't realize how amazing the iPhone camera is. It's a 28 millimeter. Pocket. Yeah, everybody has one. It's a 28 millimeter lens. I think it's I might be wrong, but I think it's a 12 megapixel, which is better than my first camera. I started with an 8 megapixel. It's like, and this fits in my pocket, and I take it with me every single place that I go.
Right, not even to shoot, to live your life.
Yeah.
To find out where you're going, to call your friends, to Instagram.
And then for the longest time, up until like a few weeks ago, I never thought to like use my phone because I have a really great camera that I spent a lot of money on. And I'm like, well, I'm going to use it, but I don't always want to carry my camera around.
Right.
You know, because it's heavy.
Like, have you seen Justin walking around lately with his crazy tripod rig, and he's just holding like a 4-pound camera out like as far as he can with his arm?
Yep.
It's just ridiculous. He's carrying around a huge backpack.
Yeah.
Granted, you use the tools that you have, but I like that you're trying to widen. You know, you brought your GoPro. Granted, it was out of battery or whatever's going on with it, but why not use your phone? You filmed a great time lapse on your phone.
Yeah, same. I did the exact same. And now, what for me, like my biggest bottleneck that I'm very aware of is it takes me some time to get it off my camera onto my computer, then do the edits, and then get them from the edit from my computer to my phone. Like when you shoot on your camera, you go from camera, computer to phone, and that sometimes you get stuck.
You
so
get
by
caught up
shooting
too,
it directly on your phone, it's there, it's ready to be put out that day.
Yeah,
like
you
I'm
can
gonna
put
take
that on your story right now.
I'm gonna post that probably later today. I might touch it up a little bit.
Right.
But you know, all the apps that I use, or not apps necessarily, but programs I use to edit, I use the Adobe Creative Cloud, and I have every single one on my phone now,
That's
like
huge.
a phone version. So
Right.
like I can pull these into like Adobe Rush, which is the mobile version of Adobe Premiere.
Yeah.
So I can go in, I could do some color correction, I could change it up and have that content out that same day. And that's what these people know is like just being active and putting content out there is what's going to make you seen and what's going to get you more business just by being active. So
and yeah, next day delivery is huge. Like the turnaround rate needs to be so high, and so I guess the less legwork you have to do up front with the great cameras, with the touching and photoing. It's also cool that like the next microphone I want to buy is made by this company, Shure, and it plugs right into your speed port on the bottom of your phone, and you can have GarageBand, Adobe, Adobe Audio, Logic, any of those programs on your phone, and it would sound just as good, if not better, than these.
It's so crazy that you say that because I think I might have showed you. I'll show you now. I have so when I shoot video, I do like interviews. You know, depending on the project or whatever the video is, you know, you have to collect audio. So I bought a Rode shotgun mic. It's a nice mic, and it was
on top of your camera, right?
I put it on top of my camera, and it's so the video, and the audio are automatically. Oh, hey, there's Chad. The video and the audio are synced without having to do anything in post. So I like the mic a lot, and it's a great directional mic, but it unfortunately picks up a lot of room tone. Yeah. Which is just like the noise.
We got it going on right now. I gotta cut it out in audio and post.
So so when I would record audio, I'd have to open it up in Premiere, level it out, remove that room tone, and that's like an extra 20-30 minutes of things that I'm not good at it. Like I'm good with photo and video. Audio is a whole nother world.
Yeah, I'm good at talking. I hate doing post, and now I have to do it myself, and it's a big pain in the ass. Yeah,
so I use this app, and it records better than that shotgun mic. So I use the shotgun mic still to record it, but then I just layer the audio from this app because it doesn't collect room tone.
Right.
It's perfect. I have to do no editing on it at all, and I line it up drop it in, and that's it.
So with the app, do you put it like you'd put it right here in between us,
Yeah, I would just put it right in between us.
and then
Yeah.
you overlay that audio onto the other audio?
Yeah, I line it up in post so that, it sounds like, the words, it's not like one of those old Japanese movies where like the words are like a second
Yeah.
behind
Right.
the mouth. Just line it up, and good to go.
Which is important for which is important for video. But if I was just doing this, nobody would know.
No, yeah,
I might need to see that app again.
yeah, here it's called Voice Record Pro, or just Voice Record. It's free, doesn't cost anything.
That's the other thing, is that they're all free.
They're all free.
I don't get it. I don't know who is making these apps.
How did you do that?
Oh,
You just hold down?
Yeah, you hold down the app, and then you just hit share. You can also do it with
Oh,
podcasts,
shit.
Spotify songs.
Tight.
Yeah.
Man, I'm learning all sorts of new stuff today.
Yeah, it's a good day. That's
Yeah.
another thing. You're an avid learner.
Mhm.
You are always reading and always coming up with just new things to.
That's
you're trying to stay
you
ahead of the
have
game.
to.
Yeah,
You
especially
know,
in this world, everything's changing.
well, I feel like you're dumb if you don't again with your iPhone. Like I can learn about anything I want anywhere I'm at, any time of day
Yeah.
with my iPhone. It's just a great tool.
It really is.
I don't work for Apple.
Right.
I just like the iPhone a lot.
I like the iPhone too. My buddy and me were talking about last night because he has a Google phone, and I've seen a couple other people like switch from Apple and then they switch back, or they have 3 phones and like tech heads.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love the Apple phone. Like I
Mhm.
just think that they make a superior product. I tried to do Galaxy a couple times. I've tried to do stay
Yeah.
Apple.
It's always like I have a few friends that do my friend Alex has the Google phone. He loves it. He's always been a Droid guy. But then there's like the people that have the Droids that just don't want to get the iPhone because everybody has the iPhone.
Right.
Like I've used it. I had a Droid in college. We got these like tablets for
Work.
no, not for work. It's for my math. One of my math classes. All of our homework was on this this
Did you have
tablet.
to buy the tablet?
No, it was just included in
The cost
tuition.
of the class.
Yeah.
Like you bought it, but it was just.
Yeah, I mean, I paid a shitload of money to go to college, so
Right.
I'm sure that $149 tablet was
yeah,
included in there somewhere.
At least they could do.
I had to give it back at the end of the semester.
Really?
But, yeah,
Shocking.
but it was a Droid, and I hated it.
It's
I
just
think
messy. It
I
just
may have
doesn't-
hated it because I'm really bad at math, and I hate doing math.
Right.
That could have been it, but I think I got a C in that class. Maybe
Doesn't matter.
maybe a C. It doesn't matter. But I hated the Droid.
You finished school though. You graduated.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's funny. Like, I've never been like a great student.
Yeah.
But I look back at if you look at my transcripts, which I've done a couple times, like all of my prereq classes, my cumulative GPA for those are like a 2.1, mostly C's. But in my classes in my major that I enjoyed, I had a 4.0.
Of course.
I got straight A's in all of my major courses
That's not surprising. At all.
because I'm a person, like, if I don't like something, I don't want to do it. Unfortunately, I'm not going to put my full effort into it.
Yeah.
I give a C effort.
That's what Dr. Rob was talking about the other day. It's not that like if you just give somebody that's entertaining stimuli, like I apparently have ADD and ADHD according to people, but I can play a video game for 12 hours and not
Mhm.
move,
Mm-hmm.
or I can talk to somebody for 2 hours and not move
Mm-hmm.
and be focused and be present.
Sure.
It's just shit's boring. And if shit's
Yeah.
boring, don't do it.
Well, I think, you hear... I was talking to my dad not that long ago, and, he's urging me to, like, well, it might be time to, look into, like, a real job. I put, air quotes around
Right.
a real job because...
Your dad works for himself though, doesn't he?
No, my dad actually is super inspiring. Things that just happened with my dad. He's worked at the same company he works in banking. He's an
Yeah.
operations guy. Well, he doesn't work in banking anymore, but he worked in banking as an operations manager for a long time. And, for years, like once I became an adult and joined the workforce, he would talk about how he hates his job and how, it's a job though, pays his bills, like that's that generation's like get a job, work there, retire. Pay your bills,
Have a
take care of your family, retire.
Yeah.
But he was miserable in his job. He hated going to work. And, it's not a secret. Like you can
Right.
tell. He'd come home in a bad mood and
Not an unheard of story either, really.
yeah, so I think it was around Thanksgiving. He was telling me, he asked me to help him design a resume And I said, yeah, of course, like whatever you need. So he sent me over all of his information. I designed him up a nice resume, and he's like, I just want to have it just in case, I look around every so often. And he told me he found a job at Progressive Insurance, and he applied for it and went through the interview process, and now he works at Progressive.
That's tight.
He's in his 50s.
And he switched up jobs.
Switched jobs. Like, that's unheard of for people his age.
Dude, you know what's funny? It's not unheard of. My dad just did the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he switched jobs again, and just always be moving around. If you're bored, if you're unhappy, make a change.
Yeah, so to bring it back full circle, the reason I brought this up is, our generation has a different mindset of like, we're not in a job. We don't get jobs because they pay the bills and they, help you get by.
No, we're obsessed with keeping ourselves happy.
Exactly. Like, I before I became a freelancer, I worked in Columbus. The first job I had in Columbus was at a creative agency here in town called Creative Spot. They were great. It's a small ad agency. I was an accounts guy. They gave me freedom to kind of like be creative and do things, and I really, really loved working there. I had a guy, Don Nixon. He was like a mentor to me. He's great. We still keep in touch.
That's awesome.
Then I moved from there. I was recruited to go work at L Brands. So I was like, oh, this is a sweet opportunity. Wasn't for
L
me.
Brands runs Columbus. For those of you who don't know, it's L Brands is Victoria's Secret, Bath and Body Works.
La Senza. Well, not anymore. They just sold La Senza.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool. Oh, yeah, you were telling me about that the other week.
But yeah, huge company. Like,
they employ half of Ohio State graduates.
Yeah,
it's insane.
It's a great they're great. But I learned very, very quickly that I did not fit in there because I'm not wired like these people there. They're just like they're like the guy that I would work with, his name was Ryan. He would work like 15-hour days every single day.
To what ends? You know what I mean?
For what? Like, you're a salary employee. Like, you're not making any more money from being there twice as long as you need to be. And we've had this conversation before. Like, I think it's great to work and create, but I think it's more important to have a life and, like, create memories and create experiences. Like, these people who work 70, 80 hours a week, like, for like, why?
For what? Yeah.
You're not going to get
promoted.
Like, okay, so you get your promotion and then you're expected to work that much. So like, you get your promotion at, after working 70 hours a week for 5 years, you get the promotion that you worked so hard for, and now you're expected to be there 80 hours a week.
Right.
For like 5% more money.
And how long are you able to do that for? How long can you actually last doing that? You know what I mean?
Well, I guess like back to about our parents, like my dad did that, and they
40,
lasted
50 years,
because that's the thing to do, because everyone's been brainwashed that you have to be working and you have to be busy to be successful.
Right.
But like our generation, like your guys that you were talking about earlier that put out that 45-minute show, that's probably 3-4 hours of work a day.
Right.
And they're making a shitload of money, way more than these people who are working 30-hour, 20-hour days.
Yeah. And then they sell their own merch, and then their own bosses, and and then they have a whole team. That show's production is huge. They've had the whole staff on for like pictures, or like they get the giant, like the biggest pizza in LA to come deliver to them, and then everybody eats it together and they talk.
Yeah.
It's like a 8, 9, 10 person staff. It's insane.
Yeah. But yeah, I think our generation, like people that are utilizing technology to their advantage, are going to be more autonomous and realize like I can be successful on my own terms, and create something that's great that people love and enjoy and want to be a part of.
Yeah.
Like you said, like whoever, I can't remember the name of the group you were talking about, but it probably started as one person in his kitchen or in his living room, like creating content, and then someone's like, that's really cool. And then they join the team,
and they help, and then let's keep going.
Yeah.
I think that, and I just saw this today, is that we're one of the first generations who would rather work at a job we love for like $60,000 a year than a job we hate for $100,000 a year.
Yep.
They've done that test on a couple gens, and we're one of the first that's like anonymously said we'd rather take the happiness for less money.
Yep.
Which is cool because everybody wants more money, but like if you have to do something all the time. And now that money's become kind of like a weird... We're also one of the first generations that will rent forever and buy go out to brunch every single weekend, go out to eat every single day,
Sure.
avocado toast, that whole like old
Yeah.
article about like avocado toast
Yeah.
instead of a home. But if we're all renting and Ubering and lifting and cars are stupid, we're just changing the American dream. It's just a millennial dream now.
Yeah.
We're just the next gen.
Well, that's the beauty of the American dream is it's whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
You know.
It's not two
No.
cars. It's not two cars in a garage and a white picket fence anymore.
Yeah. No, it's not.
No, it's a trendy apartment with exposed brick and going to coffee shops that look like garages.
Yeah, it's living in an old house that's 100 years old. You know?
Right.
With the brick and the cool.
In the trendy part of town where
Yeah.
there's still people with tattoos and ripped up jeans and
yeah,
stuff.
where you can walk to, like I walked here.
Right.
You know,
I want
that's
to
what we
trade that for
want.
the world. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
want. And when I want kids, I'd want them. I was able to walk home from school every day, and that was so sick. I'd walk in the winter. I loved that.
Yeah.
And I would like it to be a little. It wasn't a very urban environment, but it was so great.
So as you know, both of us being Cleveland boys, when you travel, I've had this thought on a couple different occasions. The most recent one, I was in New York City a few weeks back, and I was on the subway, and I was looking at this little kid. He was probably like 8, 9, 10 years old, somewhere in there, by himself on the subway, just doing his thing. And I'm like, damn, that kid is cool. Like, I wish I grew up in New York City because I could be just like
Do
a
that by
kid
myself, yeah.
that was cool, that was like just on the subway by myself. He had a cool outfit on. He was dressed better than I was. You know, I was like, damn, that dude's cool, you know. So it's like, have you ever had that thought is like where you grew up?
What was that? The Midwest protection?
What do you
Like, do you mean that like I wouldn't be able to ride the subway by myself, or?
No, not that. But like I grew up in the burbs.
Yeah, so did I.
I couldn't, like, from where I grew up, like
Couldn't get to much.
couldn't get to much. Yeah,
Yeah.
you had to drive. But
I
now
had-
we live in the city.
Right,
you know?
so it's nice to be able to walk and do all those things. My small town was, I could walk to my buddy's house and stuff like that, but I always wish that I would have been. I always like felt like an urban kid, you know what I mean? Like I like feeling like I'm metropolitan. Like, ooh, I love taking the subway. Like I love going to New York and just taking the subway.
Oh, it's so cool. I
It's
love
so
the subway.
sick. And I was there with a buddy in November, and he just didn't rock with the subway. He just was pissed we were on the train. He thought we'd like miss stops.
Yeah.
He wasn't confident in it, and I'm like, dude, it is a time-tested technology.
Yeah, millions of people use it
Every day. I actually just saw a really funny Instagram of celebrities on the subway, and it was like Tom Hanks in the corner, Meryl Streep on the subway. Celebrities ride the subway.
Oh, yeah.
Neil Patrick Harris, everybody. It's the best way to get
It's
around
the
in
only
New
way
York.
to get around in New York, yeah.
And it's funny that you said you saw a little 8-year-old kid because I was listening to like a child psychiatrist or on another podcast, Armchair Expert, and he is starting like this new. He's on the wave of like this new way of raising kids, where of course like the pendulum swinging the other way, and like his kids in like a special park where all the parents have to sign a waiver to let their kids in, and the parents aren't allowed in, but there's like hammers and nails and wood and sharp stuff and big things to jump off of, and it's kind of like a more aggressive park, you know what I mean? There's no rubberized floors. Like my playground, when I was in elementary school, 4th grade, playground was super badass. Wood chips, parallel bars, that cool like Navy SEAL wall thing to climb over, swings, and just basically pretty much an open area to like just tackle each other, beat the shit out of each
Be a
other.
kid, yeah.
Exactly. Big blacktop for Foursquare and stuff like that. And then like I think my summer going into 5th grade, they got a bunch of money. They thought, okay, we're gonna build this new rubberized playground, and everything was rubber. The floor was rubber. There was no. It just was softball. They turned it from football to Nerf ball.
Yep.
Which is fine. It was a gorgeous playground. It was great. It was still fun, but like that pendulum swinging the other way. So now he gets his daughter to walk to the park, go play by herself, and she has to come back by 6. Just like how our parents always said, like you just come back when the sun comes down.
Yeah.
She does the same thing. The other day, he was like, all right, let's push out a little further. You're going to go from our house through the park to my office. She got lost. She made it back home on her own. She was crying. She was upset, but she did it, which is amazing. And a lot of people, I think, getting that opportunity again to like it kind of goes into a bigger thing where it's like, there's a saying where like hard times create good men, good men create good times, good times create soft men create hard times, and the cycle continues.
Sure.
Our generation, the millennial generation, is supposed to be the generation that's either going to destroy the world or save it. And I think how we're going to save it is through, like, we're very environmentally conscious, right? Like, as a group, kind of. Like, we try to portray that. I think the kids that we raise are going to be the actual ones who actually are environmentally conscious. Because, like, we're going to start this wave, and then hopefully it'll, like, the hard times created that they're not really that hard right now. Like, we're eating avocado toast. You're taking pictures. We're sitting in a nice office right now. Our lives aren't challenging. But I think that mentality of the eight-year-old on a subway, that coming back into the world is amazing and necessary.
Yeah, I'm totally on board with that. You know, I don't have kids now, but I think that's how I would do it.
Yeah.
You know, growing up, I was given a lot of freedom. Like, I can ride my bike anywhere I want as long as I
past any line.
Yeah, my only rule my parents had for me growing up was, well, there were a lot of rules, but the main one was just let us know where you're going. Just keep in touch.
Yeah.
If you're going to
call when you get somewhere.
Exactly. You know, call when you get there. I remember when I was a kid, I got my first summer staying home alone. Because both my parents worked, you know, so I think it was the summer going into either summer going into 5th grade or the summer after 5th grade. I was allowed to stay home alone. I was able to do my own thing. My parents gave me a pager, one that you clip, you know, like a little beeper, so you clip onto the side. This was like before cell phones were really a thing.
Yeah. The Wire part of me, the kid who watched The Wire, really thinks a pager's pretty badass. Yeah,
it was sweet, you know, and I thought I was cool.
Yeah.
But if it beeped, the rule is I had 20 minutes to call my parents back.
Right.
And I wouldn't get in trouble. Like, no matter, you know, that was the thing.
Right.
So like, they trusted me enough to where, you know, I was essentially autonomous, and, you know, I would get an allowance. You know, my parents did a good job of like teaching me these skills young that I think, you know, I have younger siblings, so I'm the oldest of 6.
And they got soft on them.
And my parents now are so soft.
Yeah.
And like, my youngest brother, like, he's 13 years old.
Right.
You know, I'm 30, he's 13. I was 17 when he was born.
Fat age gap, yeah.
Huge, like, you know. So it's tough connecting with him because what the hell do I talk to a 13-year-old kid about? I don't know anything about that.
They also don't really they're not very outgoing either.
They're not outgoing.
They're gawky teenagers.
He, you know, he doesn't have that independence. Like, he tries to have it, but
it's just a different world. He has a cell phone.
He's got an iPhone.
They can call whenever.
He got his first iPhone when he was like 8 years old.
Yeah.
Like,
I have I have 2 little cousins, and their mom follows them on all social media. And they don't hold back on the posting though, because they got to post. Like, if I would never, like, me and my mom just became Instagram friends.
Yep.
My dad's a little more low key, you know what I mean? So I let him, you know, follow for a while, but I'm not gonna let you. No way. I'm not even doing anything bad on Instagram. I'm just like, no, you don't need to see this.
Yeah.
You don't need to see me all the time. I talk to you all the time on the phone. That's enough.
Yeah.
You don't need to see what I'm doing on a Friday night.
Separation as an adult.
Exactly what
parents,
you need.
Yeah.
But now you're able to, like, also just find my iPhone. My parents gonna do that to me? No. I mean, granted, I was lying a lot about where I was sometimes because you got to do what you got to do. Yeah, I'm going to Tommy's when really I'm going to Chandler's because Chandler's parents aren't home, and we gonna be having a little more fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Even 8th grade level fun of just like skateboarding in the house.
Yeah, like sneaking girls over, you know, little stuff like that. Yeah, of course. You got to get in a little bit of trouble when you were a kid.
Right. My only rule, I had a lot of rules too, but like my main rule was curfew, and I broke it constantly. Yeah. That was the biggest fight that me and my mom would get in almost nightly. I had to stay out. I had the party, had to keep going. Couldn't stop.
Yeah, see, for me though, all that, like, it was the difference that I had is if I called and said, "Hey, Mom, I want to stay out later."
Oh yeah,
that's all I had to do.
That's all I had to do too. I just refused.
But a lot of times I wouldn't do it.
No, I would be a stubborn little ass.
I'd get paged, and I would just say, "Ha,
Joe,
nah."
See me last year, yeah. Or it would be like, all right, get home be home in 30 minutes, right? And I would wait because again I could walk everywhere, so I had the excuse of I was walking people home. You know, I'd walk like a couple of the girls who lived in the neighborhood home, so like they'd be safe from the trouble of chagrin.
From the other people.
Absolutely none.
Yeah.
On like 12 o'clock on a Tuesday, there's nobody out in the burbs.
No.
or I'd be like, oh, walking just took a while. No, I would wait until I knew I could run from Tommy's house to my house through the woods in like 6 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So I would wait for like 24 minutes.
Oh, of course.
And then sprint all the way home and show up out of breath, like, like
I'm
panting
home.
when I got home.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. I wonder if our parents knew. I mean, we always thought we outsmarted our parents, but they're hip to our tricks.
Yeah,
You know.
to a degree. Yeah.
And it's funny being an adult, like having adult conversations with your parents, like, growing up. So my parents never, like, my dad doesn't drink, they don't party, they don't do anything, and I found, like, I always thought my dad was like lame. I'm like, oh, whatever. But
Yeah.
I found out before I was born, my dad was a wild man. It's like little things that you find out when you're a kid,
Right.
like you don't know about.
Yeah.
You don't know anything about, like, oh, you're lame. But then I find out, like, my dad was actually way more wild than I have ever been.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he would do shit that you couldn't even imagine today because back
Yeah.
then they didn't have. So my dad and mom met in Columbus. My mom went to Ohio State. My dad worked down here, and he worked at the Continent,
Mhm.
which is up on 71, and it looks all run down and sad now. It's
Yeah,
like those motels you
yeah.
can rent out for
Oh,
like an
yeah.
hour. For-
I've definitely driven past that. I know exactly what you're talking about.
But back in the day, it was the spot.
Mm-hmm.
So there was the Funny Bone, which my dad ran. He ran the comedy club, which was really cool. He met like Jerry Seinfeld, who hit on my mom, which is funny.
Nice.
Ellen DeGeneres, all these cool people.
Okay.
They're at the Continent, and he knew all the bars that were around. The grocery store was there. There's a movie theater. He never had to leave. He would just like lose his car for like 5 days at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, damn, that sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds like I wish I had that right now.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing. But I think that's probably why they tell us to be home by 12. Because
Mm-hmm.
they know what happens after 12.
They
Nothing
know.
good.
Yeah, they know.
Which is something I'm trying to follow. Nothing good happens after 1. So I'm trying to make it my own curfew, which is crazy to say is 1 o'clock. But I break it
Yeah.
all the time.
See, I've read a lot of stuff about our, the millennials, how we're killing all these different things. But the most recent one I read, I saw one today that said millennials are killing American cheese because nobody buys we don't buy American cheese because it's disgusting.
It's trash.
I
I mean, there's some good stuff like there's some good American cheese, but no, the best cheese comes
it's
from.
good on certain things, like American cheese on a burger.
Can't
solid.
miss it, yeah.
Can't beat it. But
But now
by
people
itself,
want to
it's
put brie.
disgusting.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm not eating a Kraft single.
Fuck no. But another thing that I think that we're also ruining, partially, not necessarily as much as other things, but like to touch on what you just said about being home by 1, we're not going out as much. Like, sure, people still go out, definitely.
Yeah.
We still go out,
A lot.
but not as much. Like, I don't go out now nearly as much as I did before. Our generation doesn't go out nearly as much as our parents do. Like, my dad told me he used to be out 4, 5, 6 nights a week. I go. Well, I'm different.
Exception to the rule.
I'm an
Yeah.
exception to the rule. I go out maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks. Like last night, I went out for a little bit, and I haven't gone out drinking. I don't think I've been drunk in 6, 7 months. And that's not a knock on people who get drunk. Like, I like getting drunk. It's fun.
Yeah.
I've just been kind of doing my own thing. So last night I went out and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get drunk.
Right.
And I forgot how expensive it is, man.
Right,
I went
to
up
get
to
wasted.
my buddy bought my first drink, so I went to go and get the
Reciprocate.
and she's like $20. I was like,
Where were you?
Zeno's.
Really?
It was ended up getting 3 drinks. It wasn't just 2 drinks.
Right, but still.
like it was like $15 for the drinks and then tip.
That's
I
a
was
lot
like,
of money.
damn.
Right.
And then like,
This craft cocktail game's not helping anybody.
no, you take that $20. So like what I've been doing is I've budgeted, like I've spent X amount at the bars each week. So I've been taking that
This is the
money.
strategy part of Andrew.
This is the strategy. So
Yeah.
yes, I've been taking that money and putting it aside, and then I just use that to pay off my camera. Like I took, and I still go out. You still see
Right.
me out. I just don't drink as much.
Yeah.
It's on a two-part thing. You save money, and then you wake up the next morning and you don't feel like shit.
That's the thing I've been playing a lot with with me and my buddy Sammy and Justin. Justin pretty much doesn't drink at all. Me and Sammy will drink a lot. We'll drink a bunch, and we'll drink for multiple days in a row, and sometimes we'll like clearly we're drinking too much for like almost to the point. It's never like an abusive thing. It's always like playful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, ooh, let's see how far. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Let's push the button. But There was a Jerry Lorenzo and John Mayer interview for the Fear of Complex, or not Fear of Complex, Fear of God Complex cover, and they're both sober, and they're both like 32. John's been sober for I think 2 years, and Jerry Lorenzo, who is a fashion designer, has been sober for 3. And they just talk about how like how much do you want? How much of your potential do you want? Do you want 80%? Because you're gonna wake up hungover. If you really push it, do you want 60%? Because when you're hungover, it's hard to operate. And like they talked about doing. John Mayer said like, what if I woke up every day, put my feet on the ground, took a picture, and said, sober, waking up not hungover. And social media, I think, is amazing. I don't have much bad to say about it, but like on a Friday night, when you see so many people doing bottle service, when you see so many people going out or brunching with the bottomless mimosas and all that shit, it's hard not to. It looks fun.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's really fun, but like 90% of the time it's just repetitive.
Sure. And one thing that I've learned about that space is like exactly what you're saying is like the bottle service, you know, that whole like, oh, that looks so cool. But when you really boil that down and you get to know who like those people are, they're spending all their money on that. It's like you're making yourself go broke trying to look like you're rich.
Right.
Like how stupid is that?
And I've also been, I guess, in opportunities where I've been at bottle service, never at like crazy clubs or anything like that, but like it's $100 bottle of absolute whatever, and you just get a little bit of space. That's your own, but then you're at a club with hundreds of people, but you're in your own little space. So you're like, I don't even want to be up here. There's nobody up here. You got to go down there. You try to get them to come back, but why come back? You're dancing there, so you don't end up using the booth. You just have that space sitting there, and you have your own drinks. But I don't personally, you know what I mean? Then you want a different drink. You got to go buy another drink.
Yeah.
It's not a very good, it's a weird business model.
Yeah, so imagine, okay, so here's how I think about that. What you said is when you get bottle service, you get your own space, and you get $100 is pretty cheap for a bottle at a club. Usually,
it's a shitty Columbus club. It's not crazy.
There's some clubs that are like $200, $300, $400 for a bottle, right? But if you take that experience, like you said, you have your own little space with the people that you're there with. If you can literally take yourself out of that and put it in your own living room with those same people and spend $17 on that bottle of Absolute and have the exact same experience.
Right.
But people hype it up because you're at the club.
There's a romance to it.
Yeah, you look cool because you have your VIP and you have your bottle. Like, that shit ain't cool.
No. Anytime I've been to a club and there's people in the bottle service areas, I'm not even observant of them. Like, I'm not looking at them. The only time I really see it is from Instagram, and it's the next morning. And I'm like, oh, they went to there was a girl there. Oh, she looks nice. Yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
I'm going to slide in her DMs, and I wasn't even at the party.
Yeah. See, you're the winner in that situation.
Yeah.
Some guys, or some guy or girl spend $200-$300 on that bottle. And
now she's hungover. I'm like, come over and watch a movie. We're both hungover.
Yeah.
I spent, $30 on PBR downstairs.
Yep.
Yeah. It's an interesting world.
Yeah, it's, everyone, we're all guilty. I'm definitely guilty of it, but social media kind of like romanticizes who people are. I've learned a lot about people, like, you see what they post, and then you get to know them, and you're like,
this isn't
who you actually are.
Yeah, this isn't lining.
But like everybody says, everyone's heard this, like social media is like a human's highlight reel, which is true. Like some people, though, they post like the low points, and like I respect that. Like I can't remember who it was. Somebody recently posted a picture of like
Audrey's been doing it a lot.
That's who it was.
Yeah, she posted
a picture, and she wrote this really great description of like, this is like, these are low points, and she wrote like things that she wants to change, and I really respected that. I was like, this is really great. She also wrote things that
she just has to accept.
Yeah.
Like, it was a great post.
Yeah, I saw that, and I shout out to Audrey. That was awesome. I really I appreciate like the realness of that because nobody does that.
What are their last names? Audrey and Leah.
I have no idea. I have no clue. I'm
gonna try to look that up.
Met them a couple of times.
I've met them a couple of times too, but I can't believe that I don't, because they don't like my name and my Instagram is mine and yours both is our names.
Yeah.
And I think they do like Audrey America and then Leona Lemon, which is like I think a playoff on Lululemon.
Yeah. I don't know their name actually, but
there she goes posting again. First one up there.
That was a good,
Looking good too.
You got to be real. Just you know, I don't post everything, but I like to have a little bit of secrecy about myself, you know.
Yeah, look at her being honest again. Being bored is okay. Being lonely is okay. She's being a voice for the. That's amazing. Yeah, I like that honesty, and I also think that like so like I think the authenticity thing plays out, and I actually did a podcast about this on my last one where I think Cardi B is like the voice of the generation because she even posted recently. I was looking at her videos today because they're hilarious. She has people in her ear now every day, publicists, managers. Don't be talking like this anymore. Model yourself after this person. Do this. And she goes, no, fuck you. I'm going to do me. I'm going to stay me.
Yep.
I'm going to stay true. I've been talking like this all this time. It's why I'm here right now is because I was authentic and real, and I'm not changing for anybody. And, yeah, I just think that's the way you got to be. If we're all going to be filming and be filmed all the time, you got to be real. Or you got to fake it all the time. Nobody can fake it for 24 hours. That's why I think,
I don't know, though. Can they? Like, I come from a weird space where I know how a lot of that stuff works. I know how production works. I know how producers work. I know how direction works. So could that just be a marketing ploy of her saying, like, I'm me. I'm like, all these people are telling me to change who I am and be this person.
It could
like,
be.
That could be their marketing strategy. Like, hey, we're going to pretend.
Yeah, you're staying real, Cardi.
We're
You
going to
got to stay
pretend like
real.
we're going to make you change, but really just then you tell us to fuck off.
Right.
Like, is that her? Like, you know, I've never met her in person. I don't know. You
That's a
think
good
she's
point.
like that all the time?
Well, see, the way I think of the test of it, like how you stress test that, is you go all the way back. Like, I've gone so far back on her content, and I was going far back on her content like 2 years ago. It's very consistent.
Okay.
And I think that in a world where you have to post every day and it's no longer just the glamour shot or the small tabloid in People magazine, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's why I think podcasting, and plug for podcasting, is that like if you have somebody on here, you've been on here for an hour and 6 minutes. If I were to Joe Rogan you and keep you in here for 3 hours, like Kanye is about to be on Joe Rogan, or like if I had a politician on for 3 hours, it's really hard to keep your guard up for 3 hours. At one point, you're gonna lower, and I can get to see the real you a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially if there's like drinking or smoking. We're not doing any of that now because we're I don't know, we don't need to. But Joe Rogan likes to influence his audience, or influence his guests rather.
Yeah. I think I like Joe Rogan's podcast. I think he's very insightful, but like, yeah, like you said, you know, the longer times, you know, eventually they can't keep up, and people do slip up and say shit that they're like, oh,
I shouldn't have said that, but you said that. So it's the authentic truth is that you did say that, you do believe that, and there's nothing wrong with it if you hold to your guns.
Sure. But the hard part is that, like, look what happened to Elon Musk when he did that. He smoked that blunt or joint or whatever, and like,
Yeah, he's still killing it.
of course he's killing it, but he got a
There's
lot of like
got a lot of
backlash about
flack.
that. Like,
Got
who
a lot of
cares?
flack
The
for,
dude's a
like-
grown ass man. He smoked a
didn't even
blunt.
inhale
Who
either.
cares?
He didn't even inhale,
Yeah,
which is funny too, because like Bill Clinton and them were like, I didn't inhale, but there's no photo, there's no fucking photo evidence of that, but you can clearly
Sure.
see Elon had
Well,
been a
it's-
while since
yeah.
he'd been in college.
Yeah, and it's funny how like but you have like these celebrities like Seth Rogen and whoever else. They're like
They just embrace the fact that they smoke weed.
super pro weed, and they don't get any shit about it. But Elon Musk, dude, everybody smokes weed. It's
But
not
I
a
think
secret.
I think what happens is that like it's the picture you paint of yourself.
Yeah.
So like, if you're if Elon Musk had been smoking weed forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like a closet weed smoker, and then it came out. That's not authentic. You've been hiding a part of your personality in a world where the camera's on you 24/7. Seth Rogen, though, first seen in a show in Freaks and Geeks, his whole life is about weed.
Yeah.
He doesn't have kids, so he can travel with his wife and smoke more weed. And he's hilarious, and he's American treasure, and nobody minds.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm team pro weed. I
don't really
everybody-
smoke. I'm team pro weed, though.
Yeah, everyone
not?
that's like the one, quote, air quotes, drug that you can do that doesn't actually alter your personality.
Right.
Like, sure, I mean, you might.
I mean, when you're high, you might be a little different. You might be a little goofy.
Yeah,
but
but your thought process doesn't really change. Like, I don't get stoned and do stupid shit.
I don't want to.
Like,
If anything, I want to
yeah.
get stoned. I do less stupid shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I don't want to send any kind of like stone text messages or like drunk texting and stuff like that, or like I get kind of you get very aware, very conscious.
Yeah, to me it's we're gonna see an interesting shift here soon, because think about this. I thought about this a lot. I've been drug tested for jobs.
Yeah.
And that's a thing. So there's two. My train of thought is there's two different scenarios. There's someone like me who smokes weed. I don't smoke from the minute I wake up till I go to sleep. Maybe once or twice a day, sometimes all day. It depends on the day. But I've never been arrested. I've never gotten in trouble. I've never crashed my car. I get stoned. I make stuff on my computer. I edit pictures. I watch Netflix. Whatever. I chill.
Yeah.
I take a drug test and I test positive for marijuana. I'm a unemployable evil monster, drug addict, loser. But then you got the dude or woman who goes out and gets blacked out drunk every single night.
Right.
I'm touching back on what you said, wakes up at 30% productivity, goes to work, they're hungover all day. That's totally legit.
That's fine.
You can be an alcoholic.
And you can't get. I mean, granted, there's some days where the weed hangover is that you slept so hard you don't really understand. Like you wake up and you're like, whoa,
you're too rested.
Groggy. Yeah, you're a little groggy. But have a cup of coffee and you'll be back to normal.
Yeah. And
Well, it's also about to be legal in Ohio.
Yeah.
It's like it passed. Legislation passed.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
I think that we're 2 years away from being fully recreational
In the whole states.
the whole country.
Yeah, the whole
and
country.
I think
Canada just did it. I was just
Canada
there.
just did it. So I think that what's going to happen is, everybody has their opinions on Donald Trump. We're not going to talk about that, but I think he's pro-business enough to where he sees the opportunity, and I think that'll be one of the last things he does, because there's no way in hell he's going to get elected again. I think he's just going to go in and say, fuck it, we're going to make it legal, because there's so much money to be made.
Right.
Like Colorado's first year was
A couple billion in revenue.
2014 they legalized it. 2015 is when it was like the dispensaries were full go. I think actually 2013 it was legislation had passed. 2014 they got it up and the dispensaries running. And then 2015 was our first full calendar year. They had a multi-billion-dollar surplus at the end of the year, and all that money went into youth programs,
art programs,
stuff.
Went all back to the community.
Like
they had so much money. As soon as you have so much money, when you don't have any money, first things to go to the arts.
Mm-hmm.
When you have so much money, give it to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the tourism game. I mean, granted, some of those revenues and avenues would change since they were like the unicorn. They were the first ones to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Tourism was up. Different industries were brought up. Everybody had an opportunity to start a small business.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody had an opportunity to spend 20 on pot instead of spend 45 at the bar, 50 at the bar.
Yep.
And it'll be an interesting world we live on in 2022.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Probably, right? That'd be around the time that you're estimating.
2020. What?
2021
now. 2019.
Just started.
Yeah. So this will be. He started in 2017. He was
elected.
His first. He's elected in 20. The election was in 2016. He took office 2017. So 2021-ish. Yeah. But I just think that it should be. If people can.
I think he took office in 2018.
No, it was 2017.
You sure?
Election in 2016, November.
Oh, right. And
And
then
then January
7th.
7th or 17th or some shit like that.
It just seems like yeah.
Over halfway through his term.
We'll see what happens.
Like you said,
He's offering $80 an hour to build the wall.
Man.
He's claiming $80 an hour is a lot of money.
That's a lot
That's
of
a
money.
big salary.
That's $80 an hour is $160,000 a year.
That's insane.
So just about.
I'm sure it'd be small work contracts though. You could only probably do it for a couple of minutes, or not minutes, but a couple of days or a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean the wall. What a dumb idea though.
Also, who? I mean, that's us paying for it.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah,
So I'm gonna pay somebody $80.
did you see the GoFundMe that people have been like donating money to
For the wall?
for the wall? Like,
No.
yeah, you can look it up real quick. Individual humans, like individual citizens, have been donating money to a GoFundMe account for this wall. The goal is like $1 billion or $50 billion or something. But like, I think it's funny how you hear, the main reason is to keep out.
Oh yeah. GoFundMe border wall. First thing you type in when you go. Damn, that's crazy.
But
Will the people? We the people will fund the wall.
all right, it's at
Ooh,
20
it's at
million.
$20 million.
How crazy!
Wow. Of the and it's been in 20 days, and it's 300,000 contributors in 20 days have raised $20 billion. Now, and we don't have to wrap up here, but it'd be an interesting place to wrap or to start to kind of like think of what. That's the power of the internet. Like 20 days, 300,000 people who don't know each other. Some might know each other, but they've raised $20 million
That's a
for
ton
a
of money.
stupid idea. So if somebody came out with a really good idea, you know what I mean? And we did that on GoFundMe, or we do it on, and we do it every day on GoFundMe. GoFundMe, Kickstarters, they raise billions of dollars for great ideas. We know we have friends who started a business on a GoFundMe, just opened a second location. Those are really, that's the power of the internet. That's the power that can change things, whether it be good for bad, good or evil.
Well, on the opposite end of what you're saying is there's people that are donating money to this GoFundMe to build this wall, and there's actual like GoFundMe pages for technology that could end real problems that are getting no attention. So the internet has its upside and downside. Imagine if someone took, like a person who donated to this wall took their donation of, I saw somebody donated like $300,000 of their own money to this. Imagine if they put that into like some technology that could help cure.
Person?
No, you can see how much individuals
each
donate.
person's doing.
Imagine taking that $300,000 and putting it toward, like donating that to a cause like helping homeless people in your area or for kids, school, youth programs. Like how much more beneficial that would be.
That's one of the things me and you've been working on is trying to get this charity thing going for Hypoke. It's tricky. People don't really know what to give to, and they're hesitant to give to things, but I don't know. You have a big idea like the wall, and I guess you get $20 million.
Yeah.
I tried to raise like $700 for like in city, like not at-risk youth. They changed the language. It's opportunity youth. I had a hard-ass time raising any money for kids who are local.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you build a wall or you want to start a business, people are ready to give.
Yep. Yeah, I rode. I've tried to raise money for charity. I rode Pelotonia a few years ago.
Yeah.
Really great experience. I had to raise $1,500, and I sent it to every single person I knew. Like I rode because two of my grandmothers have had breast cancer.
Yeah.
I rode for good reasons, and like it's definitely all that money goes toward
Cancer
money to
research.
help charity.
Right.
Cancer research. I had such a hard time raising money for that I ended up having to spend, I think it was $950 something out of my own pocket.
And you only had to raise $1,500.
I only ended up raising like $550.
Yeah, damn.
Sure, all my friends are poor kids just like me, but
Right. You're still gonna give like even if everybody gave $5, it's a tricky thing.
Yeah, and you ask people for a donation, like, oh, I'm poor, and then you see them out at the bar,
Right.
like
they don't want to
buying
have
rounds
extra
of
money.
shots for everybody.
Yeah, they don't have extra money. They just have money for them.
Which is more than $50.
Yeah.
So
A round of
it's
shots,
just
yeah.
priorities. Like everyone, it's to see somebody donating $300,000 to this stupid wall. It's like, don't be so selfish. Like, you take that money if you're willing to give it to that.
I hope you're giving to other things as well.
I wonder if this person, whoever these people are, donating to this GoFundMe, because the way GoFundMe works, if you don't reach your goal, you don't keep any of that money.
Yeah.
So like some of these people probably know, like, I'm going to get this money back, and I just want to say that I donated this. Well, that's how GoFundMe works. If you don't hit your goal, it all gets sent right back to the people who donated it.
Well, right, but like,
it's like essentially it's sitting in escrow.
let's see how long I'm gonna see how long they have to reach the wall. Created December 16th, 2018. 1 minute ago, Pamela Bluato gave $10, and 1 minute ago, damn, dude, people are donating like every. Jeez, where do you see if it's what time it ends?
I'm not sure where you can get that information.
Because it's been 20. It hasn't been 20 days since December 16th, has it?
Not quite.
So I think.
That's how many. It's been 20 days since that.
Yeah. Okay.
When did that start? Created December 16th.
16th.
It's probably been about 14 days to be the 30th.
So
and
yeah, it's
we're,
been 20. Yeah, about 20 days. Has accepted the large private donation before. Most recently, a billionaire donated. Brian Call check donations after donating. Visit We Fund the Wall. Wow, that is wild.
Does that say someone donated $7.5 million?
Well, recently, so the it's the argument that the government will accept the donation. So they don't even know. The opening line for this GoFundMe is the government has accepted large private donations before. Most recently, a billionaire donated $7.5 million to fund half of the Washington Monument repairs in 2012. This is no different. So they don't even know that if they did raise the $1 billion that, well, I guess Trump would obviously find a way for the money to get taken.
I mean,
but I don't think it would be allowed to be. That's a tricky.
I wonder how that.
This kind of makes me feel people are stupid.
And then does this contribute as like a charitable contribution? Like, can you write this off on your taxes? But that you won't won't get a refund for because the government's shut down.
Right.
Did you see that? That right now, if you were to file your taxes on the 15th, you're not going to get a refund until the government turns back on.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Shut down right now.
They're off. Nobody's working.
I'm curious to see how many people aren't going to, like, depending on how long the shutdown goes.
What happens to your paycheck?
Like, there's government employees. TSA is one of the agencies that's not getting paid right now because the government's shut down.
Yeah.
So there's like 3-hour lines at the airport because there's 2 TSA agents running the whole thing because everybody's not going to work because they're not getting paid. God. I mean, I wouldn't.
Yeah, and you just wouldn't show up. I wouldn't show up, especially if I was a TSA agent.
Hell no.
You know, a Starbucks employee has more training than a TSA agent.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're not actually. Yeah, a lot of comedians that I listen to love to mess with TA agents, and it's a weird world. I've never had trouble. I've been able to get through airports like extremely quickly.
Same.
But I'm also white and blonde and blue-eyed. Like I'm not gonna have any trouble.
I recently did some traveling. This last month I flew 4 times, and I fly with film. You can't send film if it's under. I think it's under 800 ISO film. Can't go through the scanners or it'll like mess it up. You
got to get it searched pre-hand.
So you have to have a hand scan. It's called a hand scan on film. I had this lady, she was like, gave me the hardest time. She's like, oh, we don't do that. And I was like, yes, you do. You definitely do this. And she was like giving me such a hard time about it. She's like, I've never had anybody come through, and there's a sign on the wall that says if you need a hand scan on film, let one of our agents know.
Right. And she just never had to deal with it, right?
And I said, look, right there. And she was like, oh, well, that's different. That's something different. And I was like, can I just
what do you need me to do here, lady?
Yeah,
give me somebody else, please, before I...
And then this other guy came up. He's like, oh, no, we do this all the time. And she was like, no, we don't. It was just a whole thing.
Yeah.
But like you said, she's probably started like a week ago.
Right. And she probably she has a job. She's probably... I would not show up for that. That's a bad job. Sometimes people are like... And something I really appreciate, and I have a couple people in Columbus that are like this for me. There's a girl at the Starbucks on Dublin Road in Grandview, and she's just a fucking delight. The girl at the McDonald's on 17th, like literally hi baby, what can I get you? She just is so nice, and she calls me baby every time. She calls me sweetheart, and I just love her. Mm-hmm. She has a shitty job, but she makes it all the best better.
Is it a shitty job, though?
Working at McDonald's?
Yeah, but she's probably happy to work.
She must be happy. Yeah, she's probably happy to have a job.
She's happy. She seems to be in a good mood. Like, that's the thing is, like, I don't think shitty job, like, sure, shitty jobs definitely exist, but it's about your attitude when you're at the job. It's all a choice.
It's all a choice. You choose to have fun.
Like, I worked at Limited Brands. I know people that would have killed to have my job, and I went in there every day miserable, hating it, and I was in a bad mood. I had a bad attitude. So it's like, is it a bad job? And then like you said, like me, I got paid a good amount of money to be there. Yeah. And I had, it was like on paper, it looks great on my resume. but I hated
But-
being there.
right.
And then you talk about this lady who works at McDonald's. Hey,
It's happy as a
sweetie, like,
clam. Yeah,
I'm happy to be here. Like, so it's about your mentality.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah, I've had jobs that by all means would suck, like dishwashing jobs and jobs at shitty restaurants. But the worst job I ever had, and it was the only job. Actually, I've gotten fired from 2 jobs now. Had the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
I worked at Heinen's, which is a grocery
Okay.
store.
Oh,
up
I
in
know
Cleveland.
about Heinen's.
Yeah,
It's a
and
fancy grocery store.
It is a fancy grocery store.
High end.
Yeah, it is
Mhm.
it's no Kroger, but
It's
it's
like-
no Whole Foods. It's like right below the Whole Foods mark.
It's like right in the middle. Yeah.
I say it's right in the middle, and
Yeah.
I was so miserable there every day, and when I came home and I told my parents that I got let go, they were like, "Thank God," and I was like, "What?" And they're like, "You came home and you were so depressed all the time. We just saw that you hated it, and we were gonna tell you to quit anyway. So this is good." It's when I
Yeah.
lived at home at the time, so they
Yeah.
were I was dealing with them every day, but yeah, man, hour and a half.
That's a good amount of time.
I think that's a good podcast. My mom actually called me today. She keeps giving me notes. Love you, Mom, but hey, no need. Just
Yeah.
the comment board, put the comment on YouTube, so at least
Yeah.
it looks like something.
Was Heinen's your first job?
No. That was like I don't know, probably like my 8th or 9th job.
What was your first job?
I was a dishwasher at a restaurant called Joey's,
Okay.
and then I was a busboy at the same restaurant.
Okay.
Um,
Got that promotion.
I did. I
Dishwasher
was
to
a shitty
busser.
dishwasher too, though, so I think that's why they moved me up. But
Yeah.
that was the first place I got sold like bootleg rap CDs. That was the first place I saw marijuana. That was the first place I saw just blatant sexual harassment.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first place where I ever got robbed
Okay.
by my own bosses. Bro, it was a wild place. It actually,
Joey's.
yeah, they burnt it down for tax money.
Oh, okay.
100%. Like the way the fire started,
Sure.
just doesn't.
Yeah.
You threw greasy towels into the fucking dryer. No, you burnt it
That's
down.
funny.
Yeah.
First jobs, man.
What was
Damn.
your first job?
My first job.
And when did you have it? I had mine at 14. I got like a work permit to get it.
Okay, so I have a 2-part answer. My first job, when I was 10 years old, I started a little company
There you go.
called Handy Andy. You know,
Handy Andy.
and all that was is like I was a 10-year-old kid. I would like take people's garbage out. I would wash their cars, walk dogs, literally do anything that people wanted to pay me for.
That's tight. I love that.
I made little flyers, and my grandpa printed them out at his office. You know, like we went in there on a Sunday, and when there was nobody there, and printed out like 200 little, you know,
Handy Andy flyers.
Handy Andy flyers. Like I designed it in Microsoft Paint.
There you go.
It just had like my picture with like my parents'
Handy-
phone
yeah,
number.
right.
You know,
The house phone number.
the house phone number. Yeah. But you know that summer, I made like so much money that summer. So for a kid, I think I made like $3,000 that summer.
That's heavy.
And I remember being as a kid, like I thought I had infinite money.
You
because
did. I mean, you did. How much
I
could
did.
you spend
That
as
lasted
a kid?
me for like 3 years because I didn't have to do. I didn't.
Work again. Yeah. You
What did I
Handy
spend
Andy.
money on?
Yeah. What did you
Nothing.
need? Candy.
But then
Maybe a video game.
yeah, exactly. And then, but my first actual job with like a W-2 was at Burger King.
Okay, so you did the fast food game.
Oh yeah, I did Burger King. I lasted 2 weeks. I lasted for 2 weeks because, you know, I needed money, and I was basically just got a job to pay for my driver's ed. My
Yeah, you got your
parents-
first paycheck and you're like, all right,
Yeah,
fuck this, I'm
my
out.
parents didn't. They said, you know, you can get your license, but you got to pay for your own driver's ed. And I was like, cool. So I went out and I made $190. That's not why I quit. I didn't quit because I got the money I needed. I quit because I worked a shift on a Saturday night, and I got off at like I think 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And my friend JJ came and picked me up from Burger King, and there was a party at my friend Stephanie's house. And I went, you know, I brought a change of clothes with me, and I went straight to this party, right? What people don't realize about fast food is like you stink when you leave.
I think
Like,
probably most. I
you
would not be surprised if
smell.
most people knew that.
Yeah, okay. So everybody knows you stink when you leave.
Yeah.
I smelled like onion, like I smelled like Burger King. It
Right.
was gross. And I was in 10th grade, and I just, so the way my high schools were set up is like there's 3 junior highs that funneled into one high school. So I met like all these new people, and like there was this girl, Sam, that I had a crush on.
And you
I
smelled
was
like onions.
I was talking to her, And I was like trying to be smooth and like as smooth as like a 10th grader could be.
You're flirting.
I'm flirting, right?
Yeah.
And she just looks at me and goes, "Dude, you stink like onions."
Oh no.
And I was like,
Yep.
"All right, it's a
Nope.
wrap. It's a wrap." I quit the next day.
It's not worth it.
But I didn't.
Little Sammy doesn't like me. I can't do it
Yeah,
anymore.
she was like, "You stink," and I was like, "Fuck, I do stink. I know I do."
I knew I smelled coming to this party.
Yeah, so I quit the next day, but I didn't tell my parents that I quit. So I was too scared to tell my dad that I quit my first job after
Right.
2 weeks, and I would leave my house and say I had to work, and I would just ride my bike over to a friend's house or something.
Hang out for a couple hours.
You know, because I didn't have my license yet, so I'd ride my bike over and I'd hang out. And of course, you know, my dad is he's not a bull. He knows when bullshit's going on.
Yeah.
So he went up to Burger King one day to like get food for whoever.
Right.
When
Try
I was
to get
working,
food from you. Yeah.
You know.
And you weren't there.
So of course he goes in and my boss is like, "Oh yeah," you know, my previous boss is like, "Oh, he quit. He doesn't work here anymore." And my dad's like, "Oh, okay." So then I, you know, rode my bike home that night.
How was
and
work
my
tonight?
dad goes, "Yeah, how was work?" I was like, "Oh, you know, no, it's just Burger King, man. It is what it is." He goes, "Oh, cool." And then he let me go about my business. I like, you know, went down to my room and I like started, I hopped on AIM.
Right.
And then like about an hour later, he opens the door and he goes, "Hey, by the way, I know you quit your job a month ago and you've been lying to me, so you're grounded." And I was like,
Sounds about right.
"Okay."
How long were you grounded for? Do you remember?
It was supposed to be a month, but
Yeah,
after
but-
like a week, my dad was like, "Hey, man,
I get you.
I get it."
Right.
And I told him the whole thing, what happened with Sam, and I was like, "This is why." Because, you know, eventually he asked me why, and I was like, and he laughed out loud and said, "Okay, that's
Yes,
fair."
I can see why.
And then he's like, "You're not grounded
I
anymore."
like that thing with dads where it's like, he takes time.
Yeah.
They like to take their time to fuck with you. So it's like,
Mhm.
oh, you got home for a couple hours, you went about your business. Oh, by the way,
Yep.
I knew you quit. And
Yep.
then like 5 days go by. So why'd you quit?
Yep.
6 days go by. Nah, you're not grounded anymore. And it's like they
Yeah.
just like to take their time to like
Yeah.
really kind of sit with things. And they probably know the course of action like right away.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, you're old and you've birthed this kid. You might as well take your time fucking
Yeah,
with him, growing
absolutely.
up, right?
You have to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, my
Shout
dad used
out
to mess
dads.
with me. Yeah, my dad used to mess with me like that all the time.
Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude. Good job to have when you're. How old were you? 16?
No,
you were in
I
15
was
because you're about to
15 and
yeah,
a
driver's
half.
ed. Yeah.
Yeah, I got hired at 15 and a half. And I remember, oh man, I'll never forget. I was in the back, like I got put on like the burger making stand. It took like a week to get back there.
Yeah.
You know, you cut your teeth taking orders, then you get to the drive-through. You know, me being exceptional at taking orders, they're like, "Damn, put this kid back there."
Right.
And I sneezed directly into my hands once and
then
didn't even
immediately-
think about it.
Right. Of course not, because you haven't.
And started making some food. And this woman that I worked with, she was like a BK vet. She'd been there for like 25 years or some shit, something crazy. She wasn't the manager. She'd just been there forever. And she like screamed at me so loud. And I was like, okay, this is warranted.
Right.
And it's like,
It's those first
I'll
aha
never
moments of a job.
forget. I mean, I sneezed directly onto my gloves, like spit, snot, whatever
Yeah.
comes out with a sneeze. You know, I
Yeah.
was like a kid. I was like,
You
sneeze,
never
it's
know. You never
disgusting.
thought about making food before like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a learning curve.
And then like she took it as I was making the sandwich. She just grabbed the food and just threw it right in the garbage can. And she's like, "You can't serve that food to people. It's got your boogers on it." I was like, "It sure does.
Damn, you caught
It
me.
sure does."
And you're 16 and you're just like, shit, like, I'm getting yelled at. I totally deserve it. I can't really argue with her because she's like an adult. And you're like,
Yeah.
the fuck do I do right now? I guess I actually messed up. This is the first time
Yep.
that I really feel like
Mm-hmm.
I bit the bullet on this one.
I did. I
gotta
had that
really
thought.
restart.
I had that exact thought. I'm like, damn, I fucked up.
Yeah. And when somebody yells at you and like for the first time that's not I remember it was late at Joey's and I was dicking around, like flirting with all the waitresses and talking shit and hanging out. And they were like, bro, we're all trying to leave together. If you don't get this floor swept, like, you have to finish your work. Like, everybody else is done, and they're just waiting on me, and we're all just bullshitting. And I'm like, okay, I'll start cleaning. And I lift up the broom to, like, gesture with my hands to make a stupid point. And meanwhile, I'm like a 8th grader talking with 20-year-olds and
Sure.
like 19-year-olds and either seniors at my high school. And I'm like this goofy kid in there, and I lift up my hands to to highlight the point of a joke, and I smack and break the light, and it all shatters, and the manager just goes, "Everybody out!" And he screams, probably way too loud for this, and he screams, and then he gets silent, and everybody leaves, and he's just sitting in there looking at me for like just the whole time, just looking at me with these laser eyes, and I'm like shivering nervous, and he yelled me, like, he didn't yell at me. He just was very mad at that moment. He got everybody out, and then that light stayed broken until they burnt the place down.
Yep.
Yeah, they never fixed it. It just stayed broken.
That's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, the first boss, like, it's different than getting yelled at by your parents. Because, like, at the end of the day, like, your parents, they
There's
might be
give and
pissed
take,
at you
right.
for, like, if you do something really stupid.
Yeah.
They're going to be pissed at you, and you're going to get in trouble. But it's not, like, real trouble.
And they're not going to kill you. And
Yeah,
they can't
well,
fire,
yeah.
like, they
They
can't
can
fire you. They can
Yeah.
leave you at the
You know.
whatever. My mom almost called the cops on me once, but my aunt stopped her. She really did. I took the car out.
I stole the car, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, straight up.
My mom actually did call the cops on me once because me and my friends Shane Mulder, Brandon James, and Mark Riley, we snuck out of the house at like 2 a.m. to
Right.
go to this girl Christy's house. You know, we all rode our bikes there, sneaky and whatnot. And she had a friend who was on the police force, and we came home, and they were playing a fucking trick on us.
Right, to
And,
scare
like,
you.
To scare us, right?
Yeah.
So I get house, and like the cops' lights are on, and you know we snuck in, like we went into the garage where I had like a little hangout area in the garage, like it wasn't used, and my mom was like just crying, and like she thought that I'd been like kidnapped, and
Yeah.
you know, and I was like freaking out, and I was like, oh shit, you know, like the cops are here, and the cop like arrested me, like put me in handcuffs,
Put you in
and,
the back
like,
of the car.
put me in the back of the car, and I'm crying. I'm in like, I think I was in like 7th or 8th grade,
Yeah.
maybe. I think 8th grade because she was in 7th grade. That's what it was.
Who, the girl?
The girls, they were a year younger. There was 2 girls over there, and I'm crying. And then I like look out the window, and my mom just starts laughing so hard, and I was like, what is going on here?
Right. She
And
was
then,
just crying.
like, the cop opens the door. He's like, don't do that again. And I was like,
What the fuck? What's
What?
happening right now? Right.
And then my mom was like, we got you so good. You were so scared. I'm like, Mom, that's when I realized my mom was evil. She's crazy. But really
She's
funny.
crazy.
It
She's
worked.
willing to do that. Yeah, I bet
worked.
it did.
It definitely worked.
My mom is evil.
I never got caught sneaking out again.
I never got caught. That's good.
Definitely snuck out. Never got caught, though.
See, bro, that's what I'm talking about, though. Is like that conversation went from like first job to you, Handy Andy, right? And through time, first boss yelling at you. First time you're in a cop car. That's what devolves when you talk for an hour and 40 minutes. You know what I'm saying? That's the beauty part of it. Because now
There it
people
is.
know that me and you have been in the back of a cop car a couple times. And it's almost fine.
Got
And
a
your mom
text-
just
and I
texted
got a
you.
text from my mom. Shout out to my mom.
mom.
She
Shout out to
texted me this
moms.
morning, so she loves Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah,
Always has since she was a kid.
it's kind of badass.
And let's see here, what'd she say?
It's my mom's birthday today. Shout out to my mom. Happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Mom. Oh, damn. So last summer for her birthday, she texted me. She said, this is all I want for my birthday is to go to the Ozzy Osbourne concert with you.
Yeah.
She went to her first concert ever was Ozzy Osbourne when she was like 18. And now, so she bought tickets, you know, shout out Mom, me being too broke to buy my mom Ozzy Osbourne tickets. They're expensive though. That's no joke.
I bet they were. I bet they're like $200.
It's exactly what they were right there.
Yeah.
So she bought the tickets. Oh man, seeing him in concert was hilarious because he's old. He's like in his 70s and he's been doing drugs for 60 years. Like
Biting off bats. Oh, yeah.
biting off bats' heads.
and shit.
Dude, seeing him in concert, he put on a good show, but it was just so funny to watch him because he moves across the stage. He tries to act like he's in his 20s, but he's in his 70s, and it looks like he's in his 70s. Like
Yeah.
he like just kind of scoots across the
You
stage.
can't fake it.
It's just so funny, but
Did he bring it?
he brought it. He put on a hell of a show.
That's
I will
awesome.
say this. Shout out to Ozzy Osbourne. But she texted me this morning and asked if I wanted to go with her to see him again in Cincinnati. And I was like, yeah,
Fuck it,
Mom,
let's
if
go.
you want to go, I'm down. And she's like, she was so happy. Like she was so jazzed up the first time. And she's all excited about it. But she
That's
said
awesome.
that tickets are too expensive for this one. $200 each.
That's a lot. Ozzy.
Maybe I'll surprise her and buy them for her.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah,
That'd
I
be a
might
good
do
gift.
that.
Yeah. It's a thing. I don't know what it is about, like, maybe it's not all young men, but like, and maybe it's like rap music or something happens to us that like we just want to buy our moms like a condo. Like my
Mhm.
joke with my mom, and hopefully it becomes the truth one day, is that like
Mhm.
I'm gonna get her a nice condo
Mhm.
that's like just close enough to my house that she can't like get over
Yeah.
quickly.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like she just can't come over super. Like she can't just be
You
there.
have to, she has to let you know she's coming.
Because I have a feeling my
Yeah.
mom, she's like a bit of insomniac. She would just show up at like 4, 5.
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep. Wanted to see what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sleeping. Get out of my house.
Yeah, like the reason I said yes to my mom is my parents had me. Like I'm the oldest. You know, my mom was 18 when she had me. My dad was 20.
Yeah.
So like my parents, like I think about the life that I live. Like like I said, I'm 30 now, but I've done a lot of really cool shit. Like I've driven across the country twice. I've gone to Bonnaroo 3 times. I've gone to music festivals. I've done probably 500 concerts. I don't even know, but like my parents never got to do those things because they had me.
Right.
So like now I'm trying to actively help my parents have these like unique life
Experiences.
experiences that they never got a chance to get. So like when my mom wanted to go to that concert,
Right.
absolutely, of course, Mom. Like I know you didn't get to do these things when you were my age because you had me. You
How
had
old
a
were your parents
kid.
when they had you?
My mom was 18 and my dad was 20.
Damn.
So like
That's crazy.
young,
Right.
very young.
That is young. That's young as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, imagine how old are you?
24.
24.
Yeah,
Imagine
imagine
having
having a
a
kid for
6-year-old
4
kid
years.
right
yeah,
now.
that'd be nuts.
Yeah, like
I don't think I could handle it.
So
My ears are dying.
yeah, so I'm trying to do these things for my parents, like give them these like cool experiences that they never got to have.
Yeah, that's
You know?
amazing. That's a great sentiment. And they still have
Yeah.
kids. They have a 13-year-old.
Yeah,
That's like a whole. That's like starting over.
Yeah, so I
They're
mean,
dealing with all that sneaking out shit again.
oh, they definitely are.
Which also though you got to think about it like your threshold for anger. Okay, so Andrew snuck out. He got caught. We did that cop joke. That's played out. Can't do that again.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we're just not gonna really care as much. Like
And they
he sneaks
don't.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll get back home.
You
Your
know,
brother
I-
did it. Your sister did it. You'll do
Yeah.
it. It's fine.
Yeah, I always
get
joke
used to
with
it.
I joke with my dad a lot about how he's soft now, because like my little brother, my youngest brother, like
He's also older, so
he's
like, he doesn't
also
have that
older, yeah.
fire to
He
like
doesn't have it. He doesn't have
to
the
like
fire.
mess with a kid for 4 days. He's
Yeah.
like, I gotta just do this in
Yeah.
one night. I'm
Yeah.
tired. I don't want to do this for 6 days
Yeah.
with this kid.
So a couple weeks ago, I was home around the holidays, and my youngest brother, he stirs the pies a little bit. He pushes buttons. He
Yeah.
knows because he's the youngest kid.
Ruffles
That's what they all
feathers,
do. Yeah. So we're
to
all
be
sitting
seen.
in the living room, and he comes downstairs with his skateboard, and he's like, "I'm gonna go skate." And my parents are like, "Well, we're gonna be eating dinner in an hour. Like, don't leave the neighborhood." And he like pitched a fit about it. Like, "Why can't I? Like, I want to go." My dad's like, "Aiden, you're not leaving the neighborhood.
Right.
Okay, you can stay because we live in like a one road in, one road out
Yeah.
neighborhood. Like 6 streets.
Right.
So
Cul-de-sac. Like a little,
yeah,
like a
I
little
grew
hood,
up on
yeah.
a cul-de-sac, the
Right.
back of a cul-de-sac. So my little brother says, "All right, whatever." Immediately gets on a skateboard and leaves, and
Goes out of the neighborhood.
goes out of the neighborhood without even thinking about it. Just goes.
Yeah.
So
It's funny how that makes you mad now. Like
It
when my
makes
brother
me
does
mad.
my little brother does
Yeah,
shit, it makes me
pisses me
mad for
off.
some reason.
So we're sitting there because like we live in the back of the cul-de-sac, like the very back house. So I looked, and like we live on the first. So you turn in, the first left is my street,
Yeah.
like, where I grew up. So like there's 4 houses from the top of our street to like getting out of our neighborhood.
Yeah.
He immediately skates down the street, turns right. He's gone.
He's gone. He's out.
gone. I know he's gone.
Right.
So, my parents call him. He's like, "Oh, I'm going over to Melinda or Mandy or some girl. I don't remember her name." And my dad just gets in the car, picks him up, brings him
back.
home, Like
And
it
time
was
for dinner.
nothing.
Yeah.
Didn't
Didn't have
say
to
a
go to his
word
room.
about it. If I did that, I would have been grounded for 2 months for disobeying my dad like that.
Yeah.
It's
It's just
like,
different.
They're just broken down. Like
They got tired of doing it. They probably had to do
Mhm.
it. How many siblings you got? You have 4, don't you?
5, 4 brothers, 1 sister.
And you're the oldest.
I'm the oldest.
Yeah, they're just
There's
sick.
6
They're
of
just
us,
done.
Yeah.
They're like, all right,
Mhm.
he'll be fine. He'll turn out fine. It doesn't
Yeah.
really matter.
I know.
And they saw that grounding probably didn't have that much of an effect. So
Yeah, but I was never a troublemaker. Like I never got in trouble, But like my little brother, I'm just like, but it pisses me off because I'm
Makes you
like,
mad.
this fucking kid
I wouldn't have been able to get rid of
blatantly
that.
disobeyed my dad.
Saying no to my dad. It's my
Yeah.
dad. You don't say.
Yeah.
I only say no to my dad.
Well, I ended up getting so pissed that I like yelled at my brother. I'm like, "You little fucking asshole! Like that's not how shit works. Like you listen to dad, you listen to what he says. Like
How'd
that's how
that
it
go?
goes." He just literally
Shrugged you
put his
off.
headphones on and said, "Whatever, dude." And I've never wanted to like take someone's head and just smash it into a wall more in my entire life. And it just made me so. And then I thought about it. I'm like, I looked at my dad. I'm like, "Is this what you deal with every time?" He goes, "Yep." I'm like,
That's a lot.
he's like, "That's why I don't even care anymore, because if I cared, I would have smashed his head through a wall 100
Right.
times."
Damn.
And I was like, "Damn,
That's
all right,
tough.
well." But I'm happy for like how I was raised. Like I
It worked out.
worked out,
I think
and it'll work out for him too. He'll
What's
be
his
fine.
name? Andy.
Aiden.
Aiden.
Yeah, I'm Andy. Can't have 2 Andys.
Why are you Andy?
I'm Andrew. Andy, Andrew. My name's Andrew.
Is that what Andy is short for? Is Andrew?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I thought it was Drew. Is the short
Oh,
for?
you can go Drew, Andy, Andrew.
That's
As
interesting.
like growing up, I was always
I wish
Andy.
I wish I would have called my brother. Hey, my brother's name's Andrew, or his name's Andrew. We call him Drew.
Mhm.
Wish we would have called him Andy. That would have been funny.
Yeah, growing up, I think the name Andy is kind of childish.
Yes,
like,
very much so,
I
yeah.
grew up as Andy. Like all my high school friends call me Andy.
It's
You
not
know.
a name you hear a lot anymore.
No, but as an adult, I would prefer to be called Andrew
yeah,
because
I
that's
think
more
so.
of it's an
adult,
adult
yeah.
name.
Like I never liked Jake. I only like Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
how you
same,
prefer to
same.
be called.
Yeah, growing up, I was always Andy. And now I introduced. It's funny because I was out with some of my high school friends. My roommate and I have a running joke. I've known my roommate since 7th grade. I met him the first day of 7th grade. A really funny story about that.
Yeah.
But,
Hit it. The 5 o'clock just got. Yeah, hit it.
all
Go
right,
for it.
first time I ever met my roommate, who I've known now for 17 years, maybe 18 years. I sat down at the lunch table. So 7th grade, like I said earlier, high school, we had one big ass high school with 3 small junior highs that funneled into it.
Yeah.
Well, our junior highs, we had 3 junior highs that like 14 elementary schools funneled into.
Okay.
So the first day of 7th grade, you meet, the new kids from the other elementary schools. And I played football, so I had met like a group of kids in the summer during like summer camp and all that. So
Going
these
back and
these kids went to a school called Orchard Hollow
Okay.
Elementary School, and I went to Lake Elementary. So I sit down, I made some Orchard Hollow friends from playing football. I met them over the summer. So it's lunchtime, first day of 7th grade, and I sit down with my Orchard Hollow friends, and my roommate now, he's like a normal guy. He works out. He's kind of jacked, and he looks like an adult. But back in
Right.
7th grade, he was just like a fucking nerd. He had a bowl cut, glasses.
Yeah.
First thing I ever heard this kid say, I sat down. I don't know where the context of it was or what they were talking about, but the first things I hear him say, and he's like this little dorky, nerdy kid, and he goes, "Yeah, man, pussy's good. So is pubic hair." And that was it. We became friends after that.
That's tight.
I have no idea what they were talking about,
Right.
but
You're like, they're saying some shit I've never heard
I'm
before.
like, damn,
we should
okay.
hang out with this kid.
pubic hair, pussy, sweet. And then, yeah. How do we get to that topic? 7th grade? What were we
You
talking
just,
about? before that?
that's the best way you've met that kid. That was the way you've met your friend.
But I said something else about it. Boy, what were we talking about? Getting in
It's
trouble.
lost in the sauce. 2 hours in the
I don't
conversation's
remember.
hard to
I
get
don't
in.
remember,
You were
but
talking to trouble, and then, that's what you were not going to run the story, and then I said run it. But I don't remember
Yeah.
what you were talking about before.
yeah. So
The
the
mentions
running
of
joke,
vagina
joke that my roommate and I have now
Right.
is, he still calls me Andy because I've known him for so long, but so I work from home, and he heard me on a call one day, and I had to unfortunately be like pretty stern with a client,
Yeah.
and I hung up the phone. I was kind of upset, and he just says,
Damn, man.
"Damn, new Andy's mean." And I look at him and I go, it's Andrew.
Oh my.
So it's like a alter ego or like a second
Yeah.
person, you know, it's like another persona, but
Like something that people from your past call you that you can't, like a nickname that like
Yeah.
if you go back home for like the holidays and
Mhm.
everybody's like saying your nickname.
Oh, everybody, yeah, it's like
everybody calls you Andy.
everybody calls me Andy,
Yeah.
but like that's like when I was
Well,
growing
would
up,
like,
I was
I would
Andy.
like to be called Andrew now, and you
Nah.
can't really say that because they don't know you
No,
that way.
Of course, I would never tell my high school, like my old friends, but like when I introduce myself, it's Andrew. Like you know me as Andrew.
Yeah, I've never
You
even
know.
thought of you as Andy until
Yeah.
this whole little story.
So yeah, it's just funny.
Yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it there. That's a
Cool.
lot. Yeah, the mention of pubic hair, I was just like, whoa.
It's a wrap.
That's
after
a
that.
wrap after pubic hair. All right, well, thanks for being on, bro. I
Absolutely,
appreciate
man. This was fun.
it. Yeah. All right, thanks everybody.
See
See
you
you
guys.
tomorrow.
I'm not always right. I'm only trying to be nice with my unsolicited advice. Unsolicited advice.